pot of water, sitting outside, no stove underneath it, no fire, no gas line, no electric coil, no fuel of any kind within 10 meters. Just a pot sitting in the open air, and within 40 minutes, that water is at a full rolling boil. Eggs are cooking inside it. Rice is softening. A meal is being made from nothing but sunlight and a $5 mirror bought at a dollar store on the way home from work. The mirror isn't even a special mirror. It's the kind that comes in a cheap plastic frame and gets used to check your hair before leaving the house. And it is, at this moment, concentrating enough solar energy onto the base of that pot to generate temperatures exceeding 200 degrees Celsius. Hotter than a standard gas burner on high, hotter than most conventional ovens, hot enough to sterilize water, cook meat, bake bread, and pasteurize milk. With no fuel cost, no carbon emission, no infrastructure, no monthly bill, just geometry and sunlight, working together exactly the way physics has always allowed them to, in a way that almost nobody in the modern world has ever been shown. This is solar cooking. Specifically, solar concentration cooking, the use of reflective surfaces to focus sunlight onto a single point, generating heat intense enough to cook food. The $5 mirror is the entry point, the proof of concept, the demonstration that the principle works before you invest a single additional dollar or hour into building something larger. A single, small mirror angled toward the sun and aimed at a dark surfaced pot can generate enough heat to cook a meal for one person. An array of mirrors, 6, 8, 10 of the same $5 mirrors arranged in a shallow parabolic curve and costing under $50 total, can generate enough concentrated solar energy to cook for a family of 4, bring large volumes of water to boil for purification, and reach temperatures that rival a commercial kitchen range. The fuel cost is 0. The operating cost is 0. The input is a star that produces more energy in 1 second than humanity has consumed in its entire history, and that has been shining directly onto every rooftop, every backyard, and every outdoor surface on Earth, every single day since before our species existed. We just stopped looking up. The technology behind solar concentration is not speculative, not alternative, and not new. It is one of the most thoroughly validated and widely deployed cooking technologies on Earth. The Solar Cookers International Network has documented solar cooking use in over 150 countries. The organization Prakti Design, working in partnership with development organizations across India and sub-Saharan Africa, has distributed solar cooking systems to hundreds of thousands of households. The Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in the United States has published research on solar cooking efficiency and thermal performance. The World Health Organization has promoted solar cooking as a primary intervention for reducing indoor air pollution from biomass cooking fires, which kill approximately 4 million people per year, more than malaria and HIV combined, through chronic respiratory disease caused by smoke inhalation. NASA engineers have used solar concentration principles to generate power and heat on spacecraft where no other energy source is available. The Indian government has operated a solar concentrator kitchen at the Shirdi Sai Baba temple since 1994 that uses parabolic dish concentrators to cook meals for over 10,000 pilgrims per day, using nothing but sunlight. There are no fuel costs. There are no emissions. There's a dish, a focal point, and the sun. The technology works at every scale, from a $5 mirror cooking an egg to a national scale facility feeding tens of thousands. The only question has ever been, why the average person in an energy-dependent household has never heard of it. The answer to that question is as consistent as it is uncomfortable. The global energy market, oil, gas, propane of electricity generated from combustion, is worth trillions of dollars annually. Cooking represents a meaningful fraction of residential energy consumption in every country on Earth. A technology that cooks food using no purchased fuel, requiring only a one-time purchase of reflective material and a dark pot, represents a direct and permanent displacement of recurring fuel revenue for every household that adopts it. Not a reduction. A replacement. A person who cooks primarily on solar for 8 months of the year in a sunny climate has eliminated 8 months of cooking fuel cost permanently. There is no cartridge to replace, no subscription to maintain, no infrastructure to pay for. The energy source is not owned by anyone and cannot be metered. This is the commercial problem with solar cooking at scale. It works too completely to allow for a profitable, ongoing relationship between the technology and its user. So instead of being taught in schools as basic energy literacy, instead of appearing in every camping guide and emergency preparedness manual, instead of being the first thing shown to anyone building a home in a sunny climate, it appears in the pamphlets of development organizations working with populations too poor to be worth selling fuel to. The knowledge exists. The technology works. The market has simply decided that the people it most benefits are not the people it is most profitable to reach. You've felt this energy before. You felt it on a summer day when you touched the black dashboard of a car that had been sitting in the sun and pulled your hand back immediately because it was too hot to hold. You felt it when you burned your bare feet on dark asphalt in August. You've seen it when you watched a magnifying glass held over a piece of paper on a sunny day produce a curl of smoke within seconds. What you experienced in each of those cases was solar energy being absorbed by a dark surface and converted to heat. The same basic mechanism that cooks food in a solar cooker. The dark surface absorbs the sun's radiation rather than reflecting it, converts that radiation to thermal energy, and retains it as heat. What a mirror or reflective surface does is concentrate the solar energy that would otherwise be spread across a large area into a small point, multiplying the intensity at that point by the number of reflective surfaces directing energy toward it. One mirror concentrates slightly. 10 mirrors concentrate significantly. A parabolic dish, a curved reflective surface that focuses all incoming parallel rays of sunlight to a single focal point, concentrates enormously, enough to melt metal at sufficient size. The $5 mirror is just the smallest, cheapest, most accessible demonstration of a physical principle that scales without limit. Here's how the physics works, stated as simply as it can be. Sunlight carries energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation, photons. When those photons hit a dark surface, they are absorbed and converted to heat. The surface warms up. When those photons hit a reflective surface, a mirror, they bounce off at an angle determined by the angle of the mirror's surface. If you shape or arrange reflective surfaces so that all the reflected photons bounce toward the same point, a focal point, the energy that was arriving spread across the entire area of all your mirrors is now concentrated at a single small spot. The temperature at that focal spot is determined by how much total mirror area is directing energy toward it. More mirror area equals more energy. Concentrated equals higher temperature. A single small mirror increases the solar intensity at your pot's base modestly, enough to heat water and cook in extended sunlight. An array of 10 mirrors multiplies that intensity by roughly 10 times, enough to boil water rapidly and reach cooking temperatures quickly, even in moderate. Sunlight. The pot must be dark, ideally matte black, because a shiny pot reflects the concentrated energy rather than absorbing it, and the food inside the pot heats by conduction from the dark surface. The system is complete. Reflective surfaces concentrate energy to a focal point. Dark pot surface absorbs concentrated energy and converts it to heat. Food inside pot cooks by conduction and convection. Physics, geometry, and a $5 mirror. Here's how you build the entry-level version. The proof of concept that costs $5 and demonstrates the principle before you invest further. Buy one flat mirror, the cheap, plastic-framed kind available at any dollar store. Find a dark-colored pot. Matte black is ideal. Dark anodized aluminum is excellent. Any dark metal pot with a fitting lid works. On a clear, sunny day, take both outside and position the pot where direct sunlight falls on it. Prop the mirror at an angle so that the reflected beam of sunlight from the mirror's surface falls onto the base or side of the pot. You can see the reflected beam clearly as a bright spot on the surface. Adjust the mirror angle until the reflected bright spot is concentrated on the darkest part of the pot surface. Place food or water in the pot, cover with the lid, and note the time. In full summer sun, a small dark pot with one reflected beam supplementing direct sunlight will reach higher temperatures than direct sunlight alone, enough to cook eggs, heat soup, warm food, through, or begin the slow cooking of grains or vegetables over a longer period. Now expand the concept. Cut 5 identical mirrors from a sheet of reflective Mylar emergency blanket, available for $2 at any camping supply store, and mount them on a piece of cardboard cut into a shallow V shape, so all 5 panels angle toward a central focal line where your pot sits. You have just built a linear focus solar concentrator for approximately $7 total. Water in a dark pot. Sitting at the focal line of this concentrator will reach boiling temperature on a clear summer day within 30 to 45 minutes. That is a functional solar cooker that costs less than a coffee and fits in a backpack. Here is what most people get wrong the first time because the mistakes are consistent and instructive. First, and most damaging mistake, using a shiny silver pot. A shiny metal surface reflects the concentrated solar energy rather than absorbing it. The pot needs to be dark. The darker and more matte, the better. If you don't have a dark pot, paint the outside of any pot with matte black high-temperature spray paint, available for $3 and rated for temperatures far higher than your cooker will reach. Second mistake, not tracking the sun. The sun moves approximately 15 degrees across the sky every hour. A mirror or concentrator array aimed perfectly at the sun at noon will be significantly misaligned by 1:30. For effective solar cooking, you need to adjust the orientation of your reflector every 15 to 20 minutes to maintain focus on the pot. This sounds tedious until you realize you are also just standing outside for 40 minutes making lunch with no fuel cost, which is not an unpleasant way to spend time. Third mistake, cooking on partly cloudy days without adjusting expectations. Direct beam sunlight is the energy source. Diffuse light on a cloudy day carries far less energy per unit area and does not concentrate effectively with mirrors. Solar cooking works on clear, sunny days. On overcast days, use your conventional stove. Match the tool to the conditions. Fourth mistake, using thin, flat mylar without rigid backing. Reflective mylar is inexpensive and has excellent reflectivity, but it must be mounted on a rigid backing that holds its shape precisely. A wrinkled or flexing reflective surface scatters the reflected beam instead of concentrating it. Cut your reflective panels and glue them smoothly to cardboard, foam board, or thin plywood before shaping them into your concentrator geometry. The flatness of the reflective surface determines the precision of the focal point. Fifth mistake, expecting results in partial shade. The system requires unobstructed direct sunlight for the entire cooking period. Set up in the clearest, most open location available, away from trees, buildings, and anything that casts intermittent shadow across the reflector panels. A single tree branch passing between your reflector and the sun every few minutes will cut your effective cooking temperature significantly. The results of a properly built and properly operated solar concentrator are genuinely impressive and have been documented in independent trials across climates and conditions. A well-built parabolic solar cooker using approximately 1 square meter of reflective surface, achievable with 8 to 10 cheap mirrors or equivalent mylar area, reaches focal point temperatures of 300 to 400 degrees Celsius under full summer sun at moderate latitude. At those temperatures, cooking times for most foods are comparable to conventional stovetop cooking. Rice cooks in 25 to 30 minutes, eggs in 8 to 10 minutes, meat in 40 to 60 minutes depending on thickness and desired doneness. Water boils in 15 to 20 minutes. At scale, 2 square meters of reflective area, temperatures increase further and cooking times shorten proportionally. Solar cooker designs published by Solar Cookers International and tested across Africa, India, and South America consistently demonstrate that a family of 4 can cook all primary meals during sunny daylight hours, using a concentrator that costs between $20 and $80 to build and operates for years with no replacement parts and no fuel cost whatsoever. The safety questions are worth addressing directly and honestly. Can a solar concentrator cause burns or fire hazards? Yes. A well-built concentrator reaching 300 degrees at its focal point is genuinely dangerous if the focal point lands on a flammable surface or on skin. Set up on non-flammable ground, stone, concrete, bare earth. Never lean over the focal point area. Keep children and animals away from the active concentrator. Treat the focal zone with the same respect you'd give an open flame, because thermally it is equivalent. Can you use this system to pasteurize drinking water? Yes. Water held at 65 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes or brought to a brief boil is pasteurized against biological contamination. A dark bottle or pot of questionable water treated in a solar concentrator on a clear day produces pasteurized drinking water with zero fuel cost, a fact that has been used in disaster relief operations to address drinking water safety when fuel supplies are disrupted. Does it work in winter or at high latitudes? Solar cooking efficiency drops with lower sun angles and shorter days. In winter at high latitudes, the sun angle may be too low for effective concentration with flat mirrors, though parabolic designs that track the sun more precisely extend the useful season. In tropical and subtropical regions, solar cooking works reliably year-round. In temperate zones, it works effectively for 6 to 8 months annually, covering the period of highest energy use for outdoor cooking. The history of concentrated solar energy as a practical tool goes back to antiquity in a way that should fundamentally reframe how we think about it. The legend of Archimedes directing Greek soldiers to use their polished bronze shields to concentrate sunlight and set fire to Roman ships attacking Syracuse in 212 BCE, the so-called Archimedes heat ray, has been partially validated by MIT students who successfully ignited a wooden boat hull using an array of mirror panels arranged to concentrate solar energy, demonstrating that the physical principle is entirely sound even if the historical account remains disputed. What is not disputed is that Archimedes understood the geometry of mirrors and focal points at a theoretical level sufficient to have conceived of the application. The Greek mathematician Diocles described the parabolic mirror and its focal properties in mathematical writing around 200 BCE. In 1767, Swiss physicist Horace Benedict de Saussure built what is considered the first documented solar cooker, an insulated box with glass covers that reached cooking temperatures using only solar energy, and cooked food in it successfully at high altitude in the Alps. In 1878, British-American engineer John Ericsson, the same engineer who designed the USS Monitor ironclad warship, built a functioning parabolic solar cooker and demonstrated it publicly, cooking food for an audience and writing that solar cooking would eventually replace all other cooking fuel sources. He was not wrong about the technology. He was only wrong about the timeline, or more precisely, about the forces that would delay adoption for the next 150 years. And that's the thought that sits at the center of this entire subject. We have had the knowledge of how to cook food using only sunlight and geometry for over 2,000 years. We have had functional, documented, publicly demonstrated solar cooking technology for over 250 years. The sun delivers more energy to the Earth's surface every hour than humanity consumes from all sources, combined in an entire year. And the average household in a sunny climate spends money every single month to generate heat from burned fuel to cook food, while the roof of that house, the patio, the backyard, every outdoor surface is bathed in concentrated thermal energy for 8 hours a day. We did not fail to develop solar cooking technology. We developed it completely and repeatedly and published it and demonstrated it and proved it works. We failed to adopt it because adoption doesn't generate revenue. And the infrastructure of energy commerce has been extraordinarily effective at making us feel that the energy falling on us for free is somehow insufficient or unreliable or less real than the energy that arrives through a pipe or wire with a bill attached. A $5 mirror says otherwise, quietly, brilliantly, every single sunny day. If this video made you look at the sunlight coming through your window differently, if it made you want to go find a dark pot and a cheap mirror and try something that should cost nothing and produce something real, then share it with someone who pays a gas bill every month without ever once looking up. Because the stove was never the only option. It was just the most profitable one.